Hello, hello, hello. I am your spiritual transformational life coach, Latricia Booker, here with Kingdom Business, where we are empowered, where we heal, we get delivered, and we get free. We know who we are. We elevate our minds and our spirits, and we raise and expand our consciousness to ultimately walk in our true divine purpose and power. And that is the truth of who God has created us to be. So, first of all, I need to take the time to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for viewing my videos. Thank you for the likes, the subscribes, for the shares. Thank you for all of the financial contributions to my channel. And thank you for the seeds you sow into me and my ministry. It is very much appreciated. Thank you. And so, as you already know, and if you don't know, now you know, I am here to drop this beat, this word, this message. Yeah. So, to get my nose ready. I'm going to take my time with this, y'all. This is what God has been giving me. I did a video on yesterday saying how they need you to compete with you. They need you to compete with you. In order for them to compete with you, they need you. And then God dropped this on me later after that. He said, how they gonna be competing with you or trying to compete with you? How they gonna be competing with their teacher? That's what he said. I was like, So, what's happening here is this. Excuse me, you all. I just needed a little swig. God has sent you into people's lives, around people, in the vicinity of where they are, to learn from you. And instead of learning from you, they're competing with you, trying to anyway. Instead of learning from you, these same ones that want to use you, abuse you, control you, manipulate you, they're really supposed to be learning from you. But as God pointed out to me, how they gonna be competing with their teacher? How they gonna be competing with you when you are their teacher? Now, the truth of the matter is, sometimes the student becomes greater than the master or the teacher. That's a saying. And usually when that happens, it's because the teacher was so great at what they do. They were such a great example, such a great teacher, that the student was such a great student that they excelled the teacher, which again means the teacher was great. And the whole idea is to help to push people into, I don't want to go so far to say further than you, but if that happens, so be it. It makes me think of how parents should want better for their children. Parents are the way it was set up was for us to push children, not push, but children should go further than their parents. They're supposed to do more. You know, we're supposed to evolve. Unfortunately, this is not always the case now, but many a times it's happened. Some parents don't like for their children to exceed them or excel them, which is really backwards. Now, again, I'm not pointing this out to say it's any kind of a competition, because it's not. But what I'm saying is, if you're someone's teacher, you should be okay with them excelling. you should be okay with them going further than you. Because again, that means you're a great teacher. Okay, let me reel it back in because I went in a different direction. But it was just on me to make that point. I told y'all I'm going to take my time here. Just going to let it flow. Not that I don't always, but yeah. So, going back to, you're there to teach someone something. And because of their, I was trying not to go here, but I just heard their insecurities. Them feeling like you're better than them or don't want you to feel like you're better than them. Again, because of their own insecurities. It's like, move them insecurities out the way for a minute and learn something. Because again, you're there to teach them. And instead, they're competing with you. They're competing with their teacher. And this is the issue with that. They're never, as long as you're doing that, you'll never really get the lesson, the message. You'll never really elevate. Because you're missing the whole point. And this is what God pointed out to me. Let me share some personal stuff. God was talking to me about a specific situation. And this specific person has a thing with anybody that comes around in a vicinity that appears to be doing well, appears to be, to have their things together in their estimation, or, even, well put together, so to speak. And when there's someone like that comes around, what was shown to me is they do things to try to take them down. I mean, sometimes first they try to use them and abuse them and control them. That's the first tactic. But ultimately, they want to strip them of who they are so that they can be the one on top. So that they can be the one seen in this light, this positive light, or whatever. They just don't want anyone to be, in their minds, above them. So I asked the question. I said, there's many people out here in this world that got it going on. That may not, and I'm not putting no one above anyone. I'm not doing that. But we're speaking in terms of how people think in their own mind. They the ones think that way. They think they don't want someone to be above them. And my question was this. So every time someone come along that they appear to may have it going on, what, they're going to tear them down and go through extremes to try to tear them down? So everybody that come around, they do that too. And Holy Spirit said, yeah. And God took it a step further and pointed out to me that because sometimes, not always, but in this case that we're speaking of, because you are their teacher and they're not getting it, what will happen is God will continue to bring a similar person or similar circumstance around till they get it. Or sometimes they don't get it and they just kind of self-destruct. But this is what he gave me. How when you have to learn a lesson and you're not getting it, what happens? We keep repeating the same lesson. Sometimes you can be like, why I keep going through this? Why is this here again? Because there's something to learn there and you're missing it or missing pieces of it or something. So you will keep getting the same lesson until you learn the lesson. Until you learn whatever is there for you to learn. Until you get what is there to teach you. So you're someone's teacher. And instead of learning what they need to be learning, they're competing. Which actually, again, if they don't get it, they eventually self-destruct. Because that's the same thing as going backwards. It's like if you're not moving forward, you're sinking. You're sinking. If you're at a standstill, you're sinking. So the fact that they're competing with you or trying to, because it's not a competition, and what God keep giving me in these cases, there's no comparison. which is why they're trying to compete with you. But instead of learning from you, because you're their teacher, they're trying to compete, which is it's ineffective for them, because they're not even getting what is there for them to get and learn. Okay. I think I made that point good. So I'm going to go here, because God gave me this example. He took me back to Daniel. And we know the story. And if you don't, check it out. I think it's Daniel 6, 1 through 28, something like that. I'll link it in a video. Daniel, he served God. He loved God. He just was a righteous man. And he prayed 3 times a day. And everyone knew it. He was up for a position that was coming up. It was 3 positions that were up. He was one of the people. He was being considered for the position from the king, by the king. I believe his name was King Darius. The king. We're going to just say the king. These dudes, you know, they was hating on him. They didn't want him to get that position. And then they was hating on him because of how he loved God, how he served God, how he prayed every day. What God told me is this. Daniel was their teacher. Daniel was their teacher. They were supposed to learn from him. And instead of learning from him, they were kind of competing with him. And even going through extremes to take him out. But he was really there to teach them. To show them how to be. This is what God also gave me. It's kind of like what the Apostle Paul say. Emulate me as I emulate Christ. That's even what we're supposed to do with Jesus. Emulate him. He said, these things I do, you would do also, and even greater. Jesus was our example of how to be. We're supposed to model after him. He is our teacher. So even the Pharisees and the Sadducees was tripping on Jesus. When he was their teacher, he was there to teach them. But instead of learning what they needed to learn from him, they competed with him. And the competition went so far that they even tried to get rid of him. But he was their teacher. He was there to show them the way. He is the truth, the way, and the life. He was their teacher. So instead of learning from you, they want to compete with you. They want to get rid of you, especially if you're not vulnerable to their tricks and manipulations. Especially if your foundation is grounded and is strong and they can't sway you, you're a problem to them. But again, you're their teacher, and they're too busy trying to oppose you and compete with you. All along, they actually need you. You're literally there to help them go higher. But it's by learning from you. And that does not always mean you're supposed to be their friend. You're supposed to be their buddy. Because in my experience, many a times, after certain situations transpire, I can't be. But that doesn't take away the fact that I'm still there to teach you. And I don't say that, in no arrogant way. It is what it is. I have teachers too. I have teachers that model a certain whatever, and I look to them. I learn from them. I'm not competing with them. I'm not trying to be like them, but I'm learning from what I see, the example that they're setting, that God uses them to set for me. Whether that be in spirituality, whether that be in business, whether that be in just a life, daily living, whatever it is. I have quite a few teachers, and Jesus is the biggest one. The biggest one. And so he uses his people, his followers, in the same exact way. whether you are a believer or not. He uses us believers among other believers. He uses us believers among non-believers as well. Either way, you are their teacher. And they're trying to compete with you. Some people are your teachers. Make sure you're not trying to compete with your teachers. Learn from them. Learn from them. Get your blessing. That's how you get your blessing. Learn what you need to learn. Humble yourself. It's not a competition. I don't think there's no other way to say it. It's not. And that's exhausting. People that live like that, they're exhausted. Even when, I was talking to God about what are they going to do? Everyone that comes along like that, that's what they're going to tear them down and work to, get rid of them or break them down to nothing. I'm like, that got to be exhausting. And God said it is. But the thing is, level up. Learn what you need to learn from the person. And I ain't talking about trying to jump on them and attach yourself to them. No. Learn what you need to learn. What God has taught me, even with Daniel. He was a catalyst. He was a way shower. It's not about you jumping on Daniel. It's not about them jumping on you. It's not about them jumping on me, attaching themselves to us. It's about them attaching themselves to God, to Jesus. We're showing them the way. That's how you're teaching them, one of the ways. But instead, they want to compete with you and or attach themselves to you. And again, how you going to be competing with your teacher? So yeah, I just had to come in, drop this beat, because that was just really on my spirit. And I wasn't even planning on doing this today necessarily. I knew it was coming. Holy Spirit just told me, you got a minute, take a minute and drop this beat. So kingdom people, you have people that are competing with you when you're their teacher, trying to compete with you. But listen, I got to tell you something. You already probably know this, but I'm going to let you know again. When people are competing with you, that means, some will say they see you as a threat. But we know the threat is not real. But in their perception, it is, understandably so. Fear. Fear is a thing of, they say it's false evidence appearing real. It's nothing I can do by being me to threaten you. But people who are insecure don't see it that way. Furthermore, this was on me this morning, how people who fear will try to inflict fear on you. Let's put it like this. If you want to move into something greater, you want to excel at something, you want to take on a new adventure, you want to start a business or expand, whatever you want to do that's outside of that norm or what you've been doing. Maybe people in your life or around you, if they're aware or whatever, they fear that. And the reason why they fear that, because it means you're going somewhere outside of the norm. And they fear you being better than them in their mind. When this is the thing, they could do it too, or whatever that is for them, they could do. But this is the issue. They fear excelling. They fear the unknown. They fear, so they want you to fear. And so they will try to inflict their fear on you. And one of the ways they try to inflict fear on you is by trying to compete with you. I know that sounds crazy, but it's the truth. Because now they want you to fear that they're better than you. But when you don't care, when you're not trying to be better than nobody, you just being your better self and working to improve yourself every day and be more and more who you are, who God created you to be. That's not what you're on, but that's what they're on. But the point I really want to make is the fact that someone wants to compete with you and one up you or try to outdo you or outshine you means you're doing something right. Because no one wants to compete with someone that's not doing that. No one wants to compete with someone that's in the gutter. I'm just saying. So there you're actually setting a standard for them, which goes back to you're their teacher and they're supposed to learn from you, not compete. So I think I'm making sense here. I'm hoping this is making sense. I'm going to wrap this up by saying, how are they trying to compete with you and you're their teacher? How are you going to compete with your teacher? All right, y'all. I'm going to let that rest right there. Kingdom people, if you like this video and or if it resonates with you, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Also click on that subscribe button and subscribe to my channel if you will, please, if you have not already done so. I would really appreciate that. Also click on that bell right next to that subscribe button so that you can get a notification every time I upload a new video. One just like this one. Something like this one. I'll be dropping that beat again. Okay? If you all are interested in any of the services that I offer, you can find all that information right down below in the description box. You can email me at kingdomtrish@gmail.com. And I do offer payment plans. Packages are available. Yeah. If you would just like a chat session with me, you know, just want to chat it up with me, connect, anointing to anointing. You know what I'm saying? Iron sharpening iron. You need me to make your baby jump? Well, if you want to make my baby jump, let's chat. That information is also down below in the description box. Check out my book, The Girl in the Mirror by Sheila Brooks. Sheila Brooks is my pen name, just so you know. Yeah. And of course, that spiritual warfare course is $25 for anyone on YouTube. You just let me know that you learned of it on YouTube, and I'll give it to you for $25. And so, yeah. Again, thank you all so much for being here with me. I love you all so very much. I really appreciate you all spending your time here with me at Kingdom Business. And so, yeah. Much love, light, and peace, and many blessings to you all. Kingdom people, that's my time. Jesus girl, this Jesus girl. She out. Peace.